Hello fellow humans and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a book review for you. So in the past you might have seen me talk about these books before, right here in the Complete Shibari series by Douglas Kent. We've got Volume 1 Land and Volume 2 Sky. Now, in the back of Volume 2, they do mention that eventually there's going to be a Volume 3 Stars. And I saw this years ago, and the other day I was wondering what the update was on that. So I went to the Douglas Kent website, was poking around a little bit, reading about Volume 3 Stars, and they mentioned on the website that there are some elements in Stars that you can find out already in his book Rogue Hojojutsu. And if you wanted to support the coming out of the Volume 3 in the Complete Shibari series, then perhaps to pick up that book instead for now to not only learn more about the art of Hojojutsu, but also to help the rest of the series come out. So naturally, I went ahead and ordered the book, and here it is. It wasn't particularly expensive, including shipping. It was about $36, and it is the same size as the Complete Shibari books. You can see here about the same amount of content. Now, it is put together differently, though, as far as what's inside. In both Volume 1 Land and Volume 2 Sky in the Complete Shibari series, we see a lot of photography of models showing the rope and the ties. And it pretty much has like a, here's what we're doing step by step, and here's the next thing we're doing step by step. And this one's not put together in that same way. It's not that same kind of instructional guide. Rather, this one is kind of set up in two halves. The first half goes over the history of Hojojutsu in a very unique and well-informed way. He does specifically say right in the beginning that he is approaching this as a rope enthusiast, not as a martial artist. There are not any takedowns described in this book. This is just about the bondage portion of Hojojutsu, which traditionally does involve a lot more martial arts because that's what it is. And so he does recommend, if you're more interested in that, to perhaps look into taking some classes, and that this is really just about the rope itself. So if you're a rope enthusiast, I definitely recommend this book. If you're more interested in the martial arts of Hojojutsu, perhaps this might not fulfill your needs. But if you're just interested in the art in general, then I definitely recommend picking up this book. So again, the first half, it starts out with the history, talks about what it is, where it comes from, and the roots of it. And then it kind of goes into the building blocks of what Hojojutsu is built from, meaning that rather than Shibari, where we're focusing on avoiding certain nerve endings and making a sustainable tie, Hojojutsu is specifically created to be uncomfortable and to force the person to not want to move by pressing on those sensitive areas. Like they'll start either around the neck or around one wrist or both wrists, and then purposely going over areas that are going to be uncomfortable. So this is not going to be an art of rope for people that aren't into that sort of thing. I don't recommend this if you're more of like the comfy bamboo soft kind of rope. This is going to be more for people that like their bondage to be on the tougher side, or perhaps if you're just looking for something to learn more about a different style of rope other than Shibari or decorative Western rope ties. This is a whole other ball game. And then the second half is interesting because there are no models, there's no photography in this book other than of the tie itself. Like they'll have an example of how to tie around a wrist using a bamboo pole as an example. There's no models in this book. Instead, the second half, which contains over 90 different variations of ties, it's all done on this same kind of anime style character. You can see on the front and the back here, we've got both sides of this buff looking dude. And so in that sense, the art in this almost comes off as being a little bit silly because we're talking full on like aliens, monsters, that kind of thing. which I both like and dislike. I kind of wish that they went more 50-50 with it and had some actual models showing real rope ties rather than all just these drawn illustrations. That being said, I do appreciate the fact that there are literally at least 90 different ties in here, and they are all this sort of thing, like some sort of chest harness, because that is mostly what Hojojutsu is going to focus on. Not all of them are going to have the wrist straight behind the back like this, so if you don't have that kind of flexibility, that might not necessarily mean you can't do anything in this book. You might just have to modify things a certain way. And Douglas Kent does do a good job of talking about easy ways to modify these ties to make them more comfortable, more sustainable. For example, he mentions on the ropes that go right around the neck, if it's pressing too much, you can always put a towel in while you're tying it and then take it out to make sure that it's not going to be too tight. Some people might be into that sort of thing though. So again, he does a lot of really clear instructions in this book. I appreciate the amount of detail about a subject that is largely unknown. I feel like Hojojutsu isn't talked about that much in the rope community. It's one of those things that tends to be casually mentioned in passing by people who know a lot about rope, and people who are just getting into it. It's not an easy thing to find information on, so I really appreciate being able to find this so readily available and for such a low price point, and to have that opportunity to learn more about something that I personally think is fascinating. I definitely am a shibari enthusiast, but I do just like rope in general, and particularly I am interested in martial arts, and so I like how this is kind of one of those in-between type things where you get that same like rope bondage-y stuff that you get out of shibari, but it's much rough, tough, tumble sort of thing, and I'm really into that sort of rough body play as well. So this is something I would definitely like to play with more. I've had fun thumbing through this, getting some ideas. I have not had the chance to implement any of them yet, so hopefully soon I will practice some of the ideas contained within. But I wanted to give you a quick review of this. I will link the book down in the description of this video. Please do let me know if you have it or purchase it and take a look. Let me know what you thought about it, and I am grateful to Douglas Kent for the series that he comes out with. I really hope that Volume 3 in the complete Shibari set comes out soon, because I think there's going to be some really cool stuff in it that I'm excited to see. And yeah, so that is my review on the Rogue Hojojutsu by Douglas Kent. I'd say 5 out of 5 stars do get if Hojojutsu is something that interests you on any capacity. And I will catch you next time. Please do like this video and subscribe if you're not already, and maybe I'll get some practice shots in for you. Bye!